Things definitely seem to be looking up for Grezzo, Nintendo, and The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, because we do have the debut sales and how it compares and what the future for the top-down 2D Zelda games could be after these results. But before we get into that, what's good everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you are someone new, and click that notification bell to get my Nintendo Switch RPG videos and live streams first. Now let's go ahead and jump right into this because the update for Echoes of Wisdom is here, something that I've been looking forward to just so we can see how End of Life, probably last big Zelda game, is going to do on the platform, and if it can give us a little bit of a hint on what's going to happen next. Now, for those who don't know, Grezzo, they are a third-party company that works with Nintendo almost in a second-party capacity. Nintendo has their developers and their people. They talk with Grezzo, they put together a contract, and they make usually Zelda remakes or games, sometimes original games back on the Nintendo 3DS, but for the most part, they've been doing Zelda when it comes to the Nintendo Switch. And we've got a nice update to their game, The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. So this is the Famitsu charts. This is for September 23rd, 2024 through September 29th, 2024. So the debut few days of The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, and it did really good. It started off with 200,121 units sold. Now, one thing to note here that's very important, this does not include digital sales. Nintendo has the biggest system right now in Japan, and they are having higher digital ratios than they have before. Physical's still king, but you could expect this 200,000 to be well more than that when you include digital sales, considering the install base of the Nintendo Switch and the uptick of digital sales, especially with Zelda games overall. We heard that Tears of the Kingdom sold like 1 million units plus debut in Japan outside of what they did physical when it comes to the debut Famitsu sales. So there's definitely more people picking it up. But even if you look at it just physical only, how did The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom do compared to previous Zelda games? So pretty good in comparison. So right now it's pretty much at the third or fourth debut highest for a top-down 2D Zelda game in Japan. There's only a few more that are above it. We have The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass, that was at 288,000 units. The Legend of Zelda A Link Between Worlds, that was at 225,000 units. And The Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks, which is the top, at 320,000 units plus. But once again, this is all not including digital. Nintendo didn't have digital sales when it comes to Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks. A Link Between Worlds did, but the digital sales ratio on 3DS was really bad considering it's just a smaller platform and they were still kind of implementing it. So Echoes of Wisdom is probably the third highest selling overall when you include that digital sales ratio, because it is #1 pretty much in every region, and of course in Japan if we're talking about that when it comes to digital sales. So it looks like it's #3 or #4 depending on how you want to look at it. So very good starting point for it. 200,000 units plus is really good for top-down 2D Zelda. And if you want to compare it to the other top-down 2D Zelda game that Grezzo worked on, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, that was at 141,375 units. So about 60K above what they did before back in 2019. So definitely good there as well. So what's next for Grezzo and Nintendo with The Legend of Zelda? Well, I definitely think that Grezzo has earned the right at this point if they're going to be doing more Zelda if Nintendo wants them to. Link's Awakening sold more than 6 million units. The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom is off to an incredible start. We do have a little bit of an update when it comes to Western sales. #2 on Amazon, it was #1 when it launched, and #1 on the eShop here in the US. Europe, it's also top of the eShop, and in many other regions for Amazon, it's in the top 5. So I think that the game is selling pretty good starting out, and it should continue to sell, especially if we get into the Nintendo Switch 2 era and you get that frame rate bump. There's going to be people picking up this game because of how unique it is, playing as Princess Zelda and essentially a Princess Necromancer type of thing. I think that this game is going to be a weird / unique type of game that people are going to go back to even after Nintendo reveals the next big Legend of Zelda game where you play as Link or whatever they decide to do. So I do feel that that's going to be in their future. They're going to continue working on Zelda games, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get another Princess Zelda game with Grezzo on the Nintendo Switch 2. And I'm not sure if it would be in the same art style when it comes to what they're doing with the Link's Awakening remake and Echoes of Wisdom, but I do feel that they're probably going to continue on. If not that, then we'd probably see a remake from them, because people definitely want to see them remake some of the games. I just don't know. If you look at Nintendo Switch 2 and Grezzo's team size, that would be something in terms of expectations we would have to maybe curtail just a bit. But if they did remake some older ones, I think they can do some awesome stuff. We have the Minish Cap, we've got Four Swords, we've got Link to the Past, we got A Link Between Worlds, we've got Oracle of Ages and Seasons. We've got a lot of games that they can go back and take a look at overall and make a great remake running on the Nintendo Switch 2, or even Switch and Switch 2. I think that would be great as well. Having maybe a little bit of a cross-platform thing depending on how Nintendo wants to do Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2 development. It very much could be like a PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5 type of thing. So it's going to be very interesting to see exactly how Nintendo's going to be doing this. But with this sales momentum and with Grezzo obviously being flushed with lots of new opportunities because of Nintendo, it will be very good for Zelda's future and the top-down 2D games. Now, Mr. Aonuma even stated that, yeah, they're going to continue to do the 2D games and top-down in addition to the major 3D games, and that's why Grezzo is so important heading into this next generation, because they're the developer. They'll be able to get something like that done, and they've been with Nintendo. Nintendo trusts them. They have a good working relationship, and they've been able to put out 2 bangers back to back. And what it seems like financial success with this second one, and definitely big success with Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening on the Nintendo Switch. When it comes to my own personal thoughts on The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, I've put a number of hours into the game and I really like some of the concepts. I think that the Echoes idea is brilliant and really creates some really cool opportunities for people to be creative with the gameplay, for players to have a lot of fun. Although I don't necessarily love the frame rate dips that happen while having some of that fun, creating different echoes and going about the map. I think that the sheer size of it being 8 times bigger and just the gameplay opportunities and what they've done to put together this type of game is really fun, and I can't wait to continue playing and doing more of. I think that Echoes of Wisdom has a great art style. I think that the graphics are good. Just once again, some of that frame rate dipping just isn't so good. But overall, it's a very fun game that has great ideas that I think that really expands what The Legend of Zelda can be, not at this point and in the future as well. So another thing that's kind of a factor with this as well is looking at the Nintendo Switch sales itself. Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom not only did really well with its 200,000 units plus, but the Nintendo Switch also sold 74,351 units in Japan for the past week. Compared to the PlayStation 5, that sold 10,799 units. The Xbox Series sold 557 units, with the PS4 hanging on there with a nice 31 units. So you can even see, with the system even being 7-8 years old now at this point, Nintendo Switch is still dominating with its software, which we've talked about before, but that gives me the thought process. Like, I've thought about this so much, and I've looked back at the previous years of Nintendo making games and transitioning from one system to another, and this is by far the most successful late game that we've ever seen for a Nintendo system. And I think that for many people growing up in this era, and maybe even for many classic fans, the Nintendo Switch will be the best Nintendo system, or if not the best system of all time for them. For me, I have to sit there and say, yeah, it's in that conversation, if not at the top, because of what they're doing here. They're continuously having software that people are enjoying and playing and buying, and the hardware continues to sell overall, despite it being pretty dated overall tech-wise with that 2015 Tegra X1. Yes, we're getting the Nintendo Switch 2. Yes, it's going to come probably in 2025, but that momentum of people still being excited to play a hybrid system that essentially just plays games and does a really good job at playing the games that you want to play, the first-party games or whatever the case is, the portability aspect of it, that has created something that a lot of people want to have. That's why we're seeing the Steam Deck. That's why we're seeing Legion Go. That's why we're seeing all these other different types of portable systems coming through, and that's exactly what's happening with the trends in hardware when it comes to the gaming industry. Heck, we even see Sony getting involved with the PlayStation Portal, and Microsoft looks like they're going to be getting involved with the next generation handheld as well. Now, moving into the momentum for the Nintendo Switch 2, before in the past, Nintendo's always had this issue to where pretty much a system is dead before the next system comes out. We saw that with the Wii to the Wii U, we saw that with the Wii U to the Nintendo Switch, and in the Nintendo Switch's case, it didn't really hurt it, but I think sometimes it does hurt Nintendo overall. Look at the N64 to the GameCube. That was also pretty down before the GameCube launched. GameCube going into the Wii. So there were so many times that Nintendo's had to deal with them shifting over. I think that with the Nintendo Switch doing so well at this point, Nintendo's big first-party developers have been able to really sit back and cook and get a good launch lineup and momentum ready for the Nintendo Switch 2. You gotta think about it. There was no brand new Mario Kart game. All we had was Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. They're working on a new Mario Kart. We didn't have a sequel to Super Mario Odyssey from the 3D Mario team. They are working on another game. You even look at like Xenoblade, for example. You know Monolith Soft is going to have something cooking overall. Look at Intelligent Systems. They definitely have something cooking since their last major game was back in 2019. And of course, Fire Emblem Engage is awesome, but that was a little bit more of a smaller project for them. So all of these teams have good stuff cooking up. Even Next Level Games, Retro Studios with Metroid Prime 4, they have that. We'll see if that comes to Nintendo Switch 2 as well, upgraded and enhanced. There are so many different teams that Nintendo has that are working on stuff. I think that it's really going to be great to see because we haven't seen a lot of those big teams with their games being released. A lot of that stuff came out years ago, so they're going to have something ready by 2025 and heading into 2026, and I cannot wait to see that. The momentum of the Nintendo Switch, the games that are coming out, the software that's still being sold, and the fact that the system is still selling well shows that there is an appetite for Nintendo branded hardware. People want to buy the official thing and play it on the system, so that's going to roll right into Nintendo Switch 2. Nintendo just has to make sure that the marketing is on point, the name, everything like that is all good, and I feel that this will be the best momentum that they've ever had. And we probably haven't seen this type of momentum since the NES to the Super NES, or maybe even the GBA to the Nintendo DS. I mean, those were probably the only things that I can think of, but those weren't anywhere near the level from what we saw when it comes to the Nintendo Switch heading into the Switch 2, considering that the Nintendo Switch is Nintendo's second best-selling system of all time and is definitely going to pass up the Nintendo DS to be their best-selling system of all time. So what are your thoughts overall when it comes to everything that I talked about with The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, Nintendo Switch sales, and of course the momentum for the Nintendo Switch 2? Let me know in the comment section below. Alright guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch and RPG videos right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.